So, welcome everyone. I am Dr. Aisha Harris. I'm a family doctor here at Harris Family Health, and I want to welcome you all to the first Flint Doc Talk. So, this series came about because, as a primary care doctor, as a person focused on prevention, I know that everything connects to health. It doesn't take me long to connect one thing back to someone's health outcomes and their health overall. And so, this series will hopefully highlight that in very direct and indirect ways. And our first guest of our Flint Doc Talk is Dr. Shane Jackson, who is a holistic mental health and wellness coach at Healthy Just Feels Right.
Yes.
So I thank you for being here. I know being the first is not always
Sacrificial.
the easiest, but it's going to be a great series, and you can say that you were the start of it.
Yes.
So I do want you to introduce yourself a little bit more so we can learn some stuff about you.
So good evening. I am Dr. Shane Jackson. As she said, I am a global holistic mental health and wellness educator. I travel from state to state, from country to country, tying together the correlation of disease and nutrition and mental health and nutrition as well. And just pulling together the setup of what's missing in certain cities, what's missing in certain states, what's missing in certain countries, that they can implement to actually keep their culture very healthy. I am an individual who started off not eating the right way, and as I say that, that means my mother fed her a certain type of way, which she continued to feed me that way as well, and which it wasn't the right way. And so it made me, seek help because I was going through a real bad stage of depression. And I could not figure out, like, why was I so depressed? But the more and more that I was battling with the depression, the more and more my mother was frying chicken and pork chops and, deep frying every single thing that I was getting. And I mean, everything was just lathered in butter and a lot of sugar. And I was not my healthy self mentally. I was ready to check myself out. And so I went to a doctor one day and they made me do a food diary. And as I started to put all these things down inside of a diary, I realized that a lot of the stuff I was getting was greasy and a lot of the stuff I was getting was sugary. And she was explaining to me that that may be the main culprit of what I had going on. And because the medication wasn't making me no better, the medication was making me worse. So I removed myself off the medication and actually redid everything that I was eating around me. And then all of a sudden, my spirit changed, my mental changed. I could remember things. I felt good about the person who I saw in the mirror, that the food had a hold on me, and I had finally released it.
No, that's a wonderful kind of journey experience because one of the things that we never realize that people just don't pop up into the space that they're in. It's always a journey, it's always a reason, there's always some pivot that happens. And knowing your why of one, making yourself healthier, but also now sharing that with the community locally and internationally is just amazing. And so you're such a great asset to the Flint and Genesee County community that it's so beautiful to see kind of what you've done and your inspiration and foundation is definitely something to be motivated by.
Thank
So I
you.
appreciate that. So one of the things with the Flint Doc Talks is that we're going to go back and forth about conversations about your experience and knowledge, my experience and knowledge, and the hope is that we fill some gaps from the people who are here and the people who are watching, so that way they can hopefully have some personal improvement and some even some impact on their family, friends, their community overall. So like that longevity, legacy
Yes.
aspect, because we're all just one person, one life, but we all have such a great connection to our communities and our family and friends. And so I'm looking forward to the questions that I have to ask you, and hopefully our audience will also have some questions later. But either way, we're gonna have a great conversation.
Yes.
So one of the things that I do here at Harris County Health, so my clinic is a membership-based clinic here in Flint. It is Flint's first direct primary care clinic. I'm trying to improve access, trying to give people kind of comprehensive, convenient, and like quality care. But I'm always seeing what's happening outside. I can only affect or influence or take care of so many people. But by the time they get to me, many people have already been impacted by other stuff. And so part of this, like Flint Doc Talks and other things that I do, is to try and shave away some of those barriers, some of those myths and misconceptions, because I do want everyone to be as healthy as possible.
Yes.
I know for me, I have my own struggles, have my own challenges for my own health. all because I'm a doctor doesn't mean that I'm doing everything perfect. I have my stress eating. I have my vices as far as stuff that I'm like, oh, this is just so good. I don't really quite want to give it up. But I'm hoping that through our conversation, one, you probably motivate me to make a little bit different decisions, but also just highlight some things that people don't know.
Exactly.
Because there's a lot of hidden stuff that we're trusting is good for us, but when you read the back of the label, when you look at the company, when you look at where stuff grows, you're like, ugh, that's not quite what should be going in my body because things have changed over years and years.
Big time.
So I want to start off with the first kind of series of questions. What are some things you have noticed about how our community sees food and consumes food?
Ooh. I have learned through my journey that no one wants to cook. Everyone wants it fast and they want it now. And so everyone wants to pull up in the drive-through and get that, quick fix. But also have your lineage in the back seat watching these actions as you're ordering for them. The 10-piece McNugget, you supersize the fry, you supersize the drink, but then you make it a Diet Coke because I'm on a diet. You're not on a diet, definitely not. But I try to tell people that we're in a place and space right now that Flint was the gem of the whole entire country at one time. And so we had everything here. We had grocery stores. We had places where you can walk at Miss Johnson yard and she had the best apples. Or you can go to Mr. Peter yard and he had the best berries. And so you don't see that anymore. You don't see the berries growing on the trees, in the bushes anymore. You don't see the apples really falling off the trees, that a lot of stuff have been torn down. And so where do we get the food from? And so usually it's our local liquor store. And so when you go in there, I'm that person that entered the liquor store for certain reasons. And that means I take pictures of what I see. They have onions for $1.50. They have bananas for $2. So somebody gave me a $5 bill as a child or even an adult. I'm not going to go buy one banana, at the store when I can get so many other things to try to feed my family with, like noodles, buying a sausage, bread, and the banana's going to stay there, knowing that's my happy food, knowing that's my potassium that I really, really need. But I'm going to go ahead and take the junk food and the processed food because I got to stretch this $5. So the liquor stores is taking advantage of the people itself inside the city. I've noticed that because they're not making it easy for us to be healthy. They're making it easy for us to say, when you look at your plate, are you eating to live or are you eating to die? Because this is a choice you got to make. And so some people look down and be like, it looked like I'm eating to die. And I said, so what choice are you making today? Do you want to eat to live? And so I walk you through the process. But then I have to point out, you got to take advantage of the farmer's market because we don't have grocery stores. Where are they?
We have a bunch of food deserts.
We have a lot of food deserts going around here. But then you also, with census numbers, we have 7,150 people inside the city of Flint with not one car in the house. How do I get to the grocery store? And then I got to walk blocks for MTA. So it's a struggle. So we got to, as professionals, find a way around it. It's like, educating far as, making sure they get all the water in them. Because just because Dr. Harris' knee is hurting, that don't mean that, I prescribe pain medication because it may be I haven't had enough water for the week. What's your water intake look like? So it's just a lot of conversation that go in here. But Flint used to be that gym and we're no longer the gym. But we can redeem ourselves. It's just all about us being powerhouses and educate. And then really it's a government thing because we need grocery stores to make this happen. Not a farmer's market downtown Flint, not a farmer's market on the north side of Flint, because what's in between? Which is nothing. And how do I supposed to get there if I don't have a car? So it's just a lot of things that go into that situation. Yeah, we're building things, but how do we bring it to them? Like mobile pantries in that sense, from zone to area code through a mobile pantry. That's my vision. But definitely, we got to find a way to push a lot of these government officials to put a real grocery store here, at least 2 for us, because we don't have them.
You said so many great points in that. I mean, first starting off with the convenience aspect, like don't have time to cook, don't have this or that, and the drive-through is a easy way to get food. It's a convenient, fast way to get food. But even that aspect of the liquor store and saying that, yeah, they have some fresh food options, but then it's more expensive than the other food. That's how a lot of grocery stores are. You have the fresh food that people are like, it doesn't stretch as far. It's not gonna fill me as fast. They're not thinking about the long term impact of having that poor quality food in their system, because I can get more of this. I can feed more people with this. This is going to get me to that next paycheck, because a lot of people aren't able to think about their health when they're living paycheck to paycheck, when they don't have the transportation to get somewhere. And yeah, walking down the street is a lot faster and a lot more convenient than trying to ask some friend or family members to
Yes.
give me a ride to go to the grocery store, which is
And then
not
gotta
not
pay
a
them.
one-stop shop.
Then gotta pay them.
Yeah, gas is high now. Gas is very high. It's not give me a couple bucks to take me somewhere anymore. But even then, even if you get access to food for that moment, you're gonna eat it, and then you gotta replenish, and it's just a cycle. And you're like, yeah, I'm good for November, but what's December gonna look like?
Exactly.
So yeah, it's a constant challenge, and one of the things that I feel is always hard to navigate is the fact that, yeah, I can say, pick these, healthier options, pick this and that, but when people are worrying about their rent or mortgage, rent is going up. When people are worried about getting all the hours for work and not necessarily being able to cook, like their health kind of goes farther down, and we constantly are going to the doctor when things hurt instead of trying to be preventative, because prevention is like something I worry about later. It's always something I worry about later. And then 10, 20 years from now, you're like, dang, I should have dealt with that before. I should have got that screened, or I should have talked to someone. Or I should have changed my eating habits, because a chunk of stuff that I work with my patients is stuff that if they had better lifestyle choices, it would be a whole different story. Like, I don't want to prescribe medicines. I don't want to like give you all these recommendations that are outside of your home. I would love for people to be the healthiest version of themselves in their home. But the way our society is, and the way our food is grown, the way our food is distributed, the way our communities are built, all these things impact how they're living their life. And unfortunately, I'm the reactive response to,
exactly,
let's try and make you a little bit healthier, in contrast to the fact that all this stuff has already happened to you. So I love what I do, but it's also, I want to be more proactive, which is why I'm trying to do this. But it is a constant struggle, constant barrier, because I know real life is happening.
It is.
And there's stuff that we know. There's a bunch of stuff that I don't know about the food that I'm putting in my body, and I wish I knew more, but it's also kind of overwhelming.
Yes.
So hopefully, as time goes on, we just pick at those little victories to try and get us in the right direction, closer and closer, because we should be putting food in our body that's helping us to live, and not causing us to retract and take away life years.
And so we all were set up that way once upon a time, that we were putting healthy things inside of our bodies, but it was how the food was being grown. It was being grown naturally. It wasn't using all the chemicals to actually rush the process, rush the chicken, rush the berries. It wasn't rushing anything. And so we were living our best lives, and then we were living very long lives. And now, since everything is so rushed, people are developing things that they would have never thought. That's not in my family. That's not in my family either. Yeah. And I always tell people, I said, just vision yourself in the car and you're driving, and you can have your mother sitting next to you and your father in the back. Just because your mother got heart disease and your dad in the back diabetic, you are the one that's driving this car. You control the narrative of what you will be. The heart disease, the diabetes. You don't look next to them and say, well, hey, she got heart disease and he got diabetes. I'm finna have both of them. No, you drive. This is your car. What are you going to put in your car to make sure that you don't have none of these things? Don't claim none of this stuff, because you're driving the car. That's their car. Everybody got their own vehicles. They drive it. They just riding with you right now. But what are you putting inside your body? You. I claim none of that. Is it in my family? Yes, it is. I don't have none of that stuff going on. I am my healthiest version of me right now. Healthiest. And so, I had my dance with COVID. So I spent a lot of time, 24 straight days in the hospital.
Wow.
Yes. And so I had 2 doctors come see me from Detroit, because they could not believe that somebody at Genesis was alive with the New York strand. And that was me. But what was different from me versus everybody else, that my vitamin D level was very high. People that were leaving were very low. Shocking. But I ate different. So he's like, who are you? Where did you come from? And how do you eat? Like, it's something different about you versus everybody else. So as they did my whole panel, they were noticing it was different things about me when they were researching everybody else. And it went back to how I was eating. My body had prepared itself for COVID. It prepared itself for the fight, and I didn't even know it. But it was ready. And I came out.
Yeah, we have I won't say a poor understanding, but we don't respect the fact that the immune system is powerful.
Very powerful.
And that your everyday choices is strengthening or weakening your immune system no matter what you do. And it's not until your immune system has to do something that you're like, it's not as strong as I thought it was going to be. And COVID was an example for, unfortunately, a lot of people realized that their immune system was not it. I hope that something like that doesn't happen again, but I also hope that it motivates people to strengthen their immune system. And unfortunately, like the vitamin D example that you're talking about, a lot of people in Michigan have low vitamin D. Like the sun, it went away, especially with the daylight savings time. It's even more feel like it's away. And when you have, African Americans or people with melanin in their skin, like we also have that extra challenge of maintaining our vitamin D levels.
Yes.
And it's been proven years on years of research that vitamin D plays such an essential role, but that's not the only thing that your body had that was able to help you fight off that infection.
Yes.
And there's other things that the body's always, it's not always infections, it's other diseases that your body's also trying to fight off. That when it's not able to change what's happening, you end up developing that problem because your body wasn't able to decrease it. And so the other thing I wanted to mention, you were saying, oh yeah, the family history, like I'm definitely going to get that type of mindset. That's how I felt until I was in medical school. Wow. I thought that diabetes was like automatic. I was like, everybody, all these generations, aunts, uncles, grandparents, like they got diabetes.
I'm gonna get it.
That's it. Like I was like, that's just how it's gonna be. But it's a active choice to choose like how you're living your life, your nutrition, your physical activity, your stress level, your sleep activity, like whatever it may be that is impacting the disease that you may or may not be more prone to. But it's crazy to think that, literally medical school was a time I was like, oh, I guess it's not genetic.
Yes.
And you shouldn't have to go to medical school to realize that something's
exactly.
not
But when you hear it so much in the house, you automatically claim it because you think, hey, my mom got it, my dad got it. You just look around and you be like, well, when is it going to hit me? You feel like that. And I just did an article for My City Magazine, which will be published next month about, SAD, about us going through the seasonal depression because we are melanated people. And so what happens is for us Northerners, the equator tilts just a little bit, and then we go through this right here with the lack of sun. And so we have to increase the supplements as far as us having the vitamin D in us because it makes us very angry people, very angry. Like somebody bumped you, be like, hold up. Like, yeah, it could be that. So you have to be able to increase that salmon inside your diet, those avocados inside. Oh, girl, I don't like that. But you don't like it because you've never had it before. Because it looks weird to you because that's us. We're look people. If something looks odd to us, I don't like that. But you've never tasted. Then when you taste it, you be like, my mom said, I can't stop eating them because she had never had it before. It looked gross to her. But then once she finally took me to cut one open and spread it open and tell her it was a womb food and she ate it, she was like, this is really good. Yes. So definitely us now that we're lacking sun, we definitely got to start pulling in. And I tell people, get it through supplements if you have to, but definitely go to your doctor. Because even though I am saying me being an educator, when it comes to holistic approach, you have a med doctor to say, hey, let me run some blood work on you first before you introduce yourself to Dr. Shane Jackson. And come onto her side. I want to make sure you all the way what's missing so I know what I need to replace for you on a food level. So if you say, hey, your magnesium is low, your copper is low, and then I can say, hey, can I see the report? And I look it over and I say, this is what I can replace it with. What food? Boom, 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 and boom. And we're good. And they go back and the doctor's like, what have you been doing? I've been eating right.
No, that's amazing. I like the partnerships of the medical and the holistic field because there's some assumptions that people make. And that's kind of I won't say that's the worst part, but it kind of hurts a little bit because it's like, you could overdo something or underdo something just because you don't have the information. And it's hard to evaluate how good or bad something is if you don't have a starting point. And yeah, like medical doctors can order labs, we can do other tests and stuff. But one of the reasons we're able to do that is because the science has shown that, you know, you can test for this kind of stuff. Holistic medicine, alternative medicine has been around for centuries. There's a bunch of medicines that are based off of that we just kind of, you know, people want to be greedy, people want to make medicines and stuff. But there's some beautiful like results and beautiful outcomes that have come. But I've also seen the other side where people have overdone stuff, and that's where the data and the information and knowing what your base and what the, you know, your checkpoints are is important.
Yes.
And people aren't always, so you've studied, but there's also people who are claiming to be similar to you that have not studied. And so people sometimes also are not vetting their like people that they're going into, and they're just like, well, they said they're this, and I'm like, are they? I don't know. Like, no, it's a whole realm of people who sometimes, you know, they could be working out their garage versus actually like, you know, going to school, getting that education, knowing the evidence and knowing the history of this stuff. And so it's amazing how big the field is. But I really do love when there's a partnership, just so we can mitigate some of those poor outcomes.
Because I mean, even for me to work with Dr. David Gordon, he had never known none of this. He said, I just know how to prescribe. I didn't know the whole healing component of when it came through food. So even when I heard you present that day, it just blew my mind. Like, whoa, I'm about to have this real big surgery. I may be needing this girl. So I can go ahead and prepare my body for this surgery so I can come out and actually heal quicker. Because if you prepare your body for something, when you have surgery, you come out just fine because you already prepared yourself for it. But if you go in sick and your body's not healthy, it's going to take you a lot longer to heal because your body wasn't ready for something traumatic like that. So first you heal me first, get my surgery, and I just come back like and cross my legs like, oh, that was easy peasy. So, and he needed that because he had never experienced it, but it took me and him to be on a grant. And then all of a sudden I started getting these calls all the time. Let me pick your brain right quick. Let me pick your brain right quick. And I'm like, hold up, you're a whole doctor. But he said it was some things that I was saying that it just made sense to him for the very first time as a doctor. That does make sense. But they didn't teach us the nutrition component. We just had a smidge of it. And that was it.
So, yes. So medicine is very reactive. I'm not going to even act like it's not. But most schools only do a couple hours.
That's what he said. He said a smidge.
And that's someone probably fought to get that little bit in. And that's not enough. Like that's what he said. There's way too many foods out there. And there's way too many breakdowns of those foods individually for that couple hours to do a lot. And then don't even change cultures.
Yes.
Like if you go from, you know, this country to that country, I'm like, I have no idea what that food is doing to you because I barely understand the American English food that we have access
to. So even for me to meal, I had to do a meal plan. And so one of the meal plans I had to do is from Jamaica. She's Jamaican. And so I had to tie the plan to her, but then the benefits of the things that they had there to help her with her high blood pressure. I had to learn the culture. I had to learn the food. I had to go the 4 times I was there this year. I had to eat the food, become one with the food. I mean, I'm in it because I'm going so much now and I'm on my way back that I'm doing a lot of work inside the Caribbean now because they need the help. You know, you have women dying faster there than any other group. Women who actually repopulate the Caribbean. Why? Because we have McDonald's. We have Krispy Kreme donuts. They love that so much. That's all they talk about. Girl, have you had the Krispy Kremes? I'm like, we have it in America. We obviously brought it here. KFC is wrapped around the building. I've never seen this before, Dr. Harris, in my life. But this is the most amazing thing to them, and it's KFC. Everybody is lined up. Kids, babies, grandma, papa, everybody's there.
Their generation's about to change. That's why you're
there. The health is about to change. The culture has changed because we have integrated, and we integrated in the worst way. We have really changed the culture of the Caribbean through our food. And they're dying fast. And they are actually dealing with suicide from age 8 to 11, and they're boys who are taking their lives. The food has taken over. They're not growing like they used to.
We're seeing the counter that as far as how Americans' culture and food has changed over generations. And we haven't even caught up to the fact that it's causing a problem. We haven't even addressed the fact that it's causing a problem. So that's just even scary to know that they're just now getting that and they're already addicted to it and it's already causing this problems. But hopefully they're able to change their route faster than we never changed our route. So hopefully they're able to adjust and be like, we don't want to become like.
No, they're giving us more restaurants. Even though the suicide is happening, they're creating more restaurants for us.
That's that financial that greed. That's a different conversation because I feel like monopolies and people focusing on the money, focusing on their pocket, and less on the community, less on the benefits of providing good nutrition, providing good homes, providing good education. Like people just have different priorities, and that long term negatively impacts so many communities.
And people miss the whole idea. If you take care of your people will take care of you. So help heal us, and we can heal the community. But they don't want to heal us. They don't. They want to keep us sick as possible. Like, no, we're not giving them no gardens. We're not. Hoop houses is struggling. I mean, it's when you ride through Flint, it's just like I feel like I'm in two different cities. When I'm in it's just two different cities. It's not a one city. It's like two different cities. It takes one block, and it's just like, oh, it's so beautiful, and you like, where am I at? Like, seriously. And it's Flint, but it's two cities.
Spaces,
yeah. So how do we all get on one accord if we want to have it so beautiful all up in here? Why we can't have it just beautiful everywhere? And just heal a whole entire community and show the world that, hey, we was this diamond at one time, and look at us. We redeemed ourselves. We back this diamond that everybody wanted to be. And now it's like, you say, you from where? Oh, I feel so bad for you. Like, do you take baths? And I'm like, do I take baths? Yes, I do. Like, don't do that. Like, yeah, they ask the craziest questions.
Yeah, other people have so many different viewpoints of Flint. Until you're here and thriving in it, you're like, it's so many other things. But it's also pockets where you're like, this should be better.
Yeah.
But it's not. One of the things that you I've already talked about a little bit was the impact of like nutrition and your food on your physical and mental health. And so that's something I do want you to shine a little bit more light into. Like we talked about the suicide in Jamaica. We talked about people's risk of diabetes. We talked about people's immune system. But just kind of elaborate on that a little bit more so people really understand that like the food that you are eating is your fuel and energy, and it's so important.
And so people don't understand that like I said, you have this plate in front of you that's so beautifully put together, and usually a child plate emulates an adult plate. That they fix the same size, everything for a child. A child belly is not the same size as ours. When you hold up your fist and you hold up your child fist, it is almost identical to their fist size. And this is how we're feeding them. But not even thinking about the mental component of this child, of the food that we're giving them with all this dye, with all this sugar. Because I have some kids that I don't drink water. Like water, I don't want I drink juices and they drink pop, a lot of pop. But it's changing everything about them, the whole chemical component. We preach that we want our kids to be elite, but we don't feed them like they're elite. We feed them like we feed us. And we're talking about we want to keep a generation growing and thriving and becoming elite with our counterparts. We're nowhere near them. Mm-hmm. What usually happens is us as parents, we, as we working, McDonald's become our best friend. Back in the day, that was a reward. You arrive, you be looking in the window like, oh my God, don't even look over there. You got chicken already at the house, mashed potatoes, biscuits already going. Like, you ain't getting none of that till Friday. That was a every now and then thing. Mm-hmm. Now kids get it every single day, sometimes 2 times a day because they door dashing now. They door dashing. They got their parents' credit card on the phone and they door dash stuff to the house and the parents are out. So they already DoorDash pizza, they DoorDash McDonald's.
Think about how DoorDash and
major impact. That changed the game.
They just come to you. Like,
they come to you now.
It used to just be pizza was delivered.
No, everything's being delivered now. You can even get Sagano's delivered if you want to. Krabby, whatever, that's on Corona Road, the crab place.
Crab Shack.
Yeah, they even deliver now. So everybody's delivering food straight to the house. You ain't even got to sit in a restaurant. You just pay that extra fee. They drop it off and everybody just kick back. Family's not family no more because ain't nobody at the table no more. You in your room, they in their room. And no one's talking. One thing about food is about love. How your day been? So what did you do in class today? You sitting back and having that organic conversation to keep that mind going through stimulation. No one's stimulating anymore. It's like being in a house with people that's are your roommates, your children. They're like roommates now. They go to their room, boom, the door is shut. You don't know what's going on chemically with them at all. You just know they had pizza today. Did you order from DoorDash? Yes, I did. The door is shut. No one talks about nothing. But now we're dealing with a child that's 12 years old and they're like over 200 pounds. Now I get that
I've
call.
seen that.
Now I get that call. I'm concerned about my son because he's not active. He's very depressed. He don't want to leave his room. They say he's ADD or ADHD. And I said, well, can you do something for me? And they're like, what that? I said, do a food diary for me. How does this child eat? Well, you know what? They're a very picky eater. So it's just a lot of things that he won't eat. So I said, so paint this picture for me. So you telling me you have a child that's physically getting into a car and driving to a store and making purchases of the things that he want for the house? No, 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 no. I make the I said, that's all I want to know. So you make the purchases. If you will feed him a certain type of way, he will react a certain type of way, but you control the narrative of him. He's that size because who introduced him to these things? He didn't go there on his own. We want him to lose the weight because we're concerned about his weight and we don't know what to do. Stop feeding him like you're feeding him. But the child has actually developed a feeling of the sensation, the excitability of eating a lot. And so it's hard to break that because sometimes that people eat through emotional. If somebody's teasing you at school, when you come home, what you do? You eat and you eat more. But then you got to think about his mental because now you got a child that's dealing with depression because he's being teased all the time. He don't want to live anymore. He's writing letters around the house. And so for me to even come in, and like I said, I'm a person that's very up close and personal in your business. And when I show up, I'm an accountability partner for real, that I pop up out the blue. And so I come there, I'm going to be your friend for those 3 months, your best friend. But I need to know how you're feeling every single day. You know, how do you feel today? Because mental is everything, not knowing that I can give you a prescription and say, pick up some spinach. I want you to get some sweet potatoes, eat them raw, cut them up as fries. Apples, when they said an apple a day keeps the doctor away, they never lied. That was the truth. It keeps your heart healthy, but you are exactly what you eat. When you walk into the store, when you look at an apple, that's for your heart. When you look at a tomato and you cut it open, the chambers of the heart is inside the tomato. It's for your heart. When you look at a walnut, you break it open. It's for your brain. The grooves automatically look like your brain. Carrots, eyes. So everything they show us, celery, your legs, keeping them strong. As women, we stop producing and not having babies anymore. Bones become very brittle. Celery can be our best friend to keep us nice and strong. But then we got to deal with our men population because cancer is prevalent. Prostate. We want to make sure that they stay flushed and actually don't want to hear that big C word. Green, 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 and more greens. They never lied as a doctor. You say, eat green food. They're like, greens. Greens is amazing because that's one thing that you can't really rush the process of greens. Greens is something I always tell, my people, it's something sexy because it takes time for greens to grow. But when they do, they just, they flourish. They look so beautiful when they grow, but they're so good for you. So good for you that they can actually stop a lot of the issues that we have with our high blood pressure, with our cholesterols, with our heart issues, with cancer. I've had a cancer patient. I had my very first one, but she's not here right now. COVID took her. When she went back to her doctor, her oncologist, they called it a spontaneous remission. But what I did was we changed the whole entire family how they ate. That's what I did. Because we had a cancer patient in the house. They couldn't eat one way and she ate one. No, everybody had to be on one accord. So mom decided that everybody was going to clean eat. Everybody's going to get their body together just to save her daughter. They gave her 6 months. She lived 2 years. And when she passed away, it was because of COVID. Her immune system was compromised from just her lungs, and she just she didn't make it. But it was not even her cancer. It was actually COVID.
That's a powerful story regarding just how shifting your diet, how shifting your food intake can be so powerful with your health, your family's health, and kind of that legacy in general. I know one of the things that you were mentioning, like, people don't eat at the dinner table, which is a whole different conversation of like the value of, talking as a family, regrouping, discussing kind of the day and just connecting in general. But one of the other things that you were mentioning is like, with the last story you said was that the family changed. And so people will bring up like, I have this problem my child has this problem, so and so in the household has this problem, and they'll individually try and like help them a little bit, but it's not as effective until the whole household is on the same page. Because one, no one wants to be like an outsider siloed with people eating this type of food, and they have to eat this other type of food. But collectively, everyone can be so much healthier if they are on the same page, because the child is not having that extra weight because the parent usually also has extra weight, or has, if they don't have that extra weight, they have that metabolism or metabolic syndrome stuff related to their diet that maybe it's not physically showing as extra weight, but they have that high cholesterol, they have that diabetes, they have the high blood pressure, and it's because collectively they're all taking in the same poor quality food for various reasons, whether it's finances, convenience, or just feeling like they don't like a certain type of food. But it is really important for that household to be strengthened by the same nutrition and same energy input options.
But now, I mean, and I don't know, can you attest to this, but we have more children now being diagnosed with heart issues more than ever. They had a case in Detroit where a mother rewarded her son every time after he came from basketball practice with McDonald's. He get out on the court and he started to play, and boom, he has a heart attack in the middle of a game and died, 16 years old. And she had to reflect of what she was doing so wrong, because that was a reward though. The supersized milkshake with the Big Mac with the extra sauce on there with the fries. He was rewarded every practice with McDonald's, and he was putting all that weight on his small heart, because that's small for a 16-year-old. And then he falls dead in the middle of the floor at a game. And she couldn't even believe when they, did his autopsy, and his heart was the issue. The plaque that was inside the lining of his arteries as a child. That's crazy. Deep fried chicken, we always did. He loved deep fried chicken, and he loved woodles, and she would fry it in, the oil as it's dripping, and he loved it. But she had to reflect of what got her to this very moment. And like, she kind of did this to him, and not knowing that it was a reward. But now you got other kids to say, hey, I got to stop this now. I got to change the narrative right now, because I'm doing this to these other kids too, and I need to save them, because this is your legacy. You are creating what you want your future to look like right now when you look at your kids. And so the way I eat is the way my kids eat, because I'm not the fast food going person. I love salmon. I put together stuff live. I skin I do everything. I'm a country girl. I'm from Arkansas. So I like gardening, the whole nine. But I am a person who loves fruits. I love veggies. I told her I'm a foodie. I love to go to different restaurants and take them apart and just experience different things I've never had before. We don't go out of the country to say, well, can I have a hamburger and some French fries? No, you do not. You want to say, what is the most popular item you have here that people love to order? And I said, bring it to me so I can try it out. Because you want to actually try different things and retrain your taste buds, because they've been the same way for so long that this is all I know. And then you may have that aha moment like, oh, I really like this. This is really good. Like Brussels sprouts. They say, I don't eat Brussels sprouts, girl. That's for somebody else. I said, do you eat cabbage? Yeah, girl, I love cabbage. I said, well, you eat Brussels sprouts. They're babies. I didn't know that. Yes, that's the baby. And then they be just floored because they have had Brussels sprouts, but you just had the older version of them. Oh, you eat Brussels sprouts. So it's just a lot of education, because we was not taught these things. We was not. We just known to just, hey, well, mom get in the kitchen and she, cook. It's just, we get out the way. And now we bond with our kids in the kitchen. Every grant that I've been on, the kids come inside the kitchen because, how was your day? Oh, I really love that color on you. Hey, grab that pasta for me. I want you to break that up and put it in the pot. And then how the parents look at me like, wait a minute. Like, I've never seen my kid like this. I said, because you're uplifting them. You're making them feel like they're a part of something. Every child wants to feel that way. And that's how you bond from a mother and a father perspective, because bring the kids in the kitchen. Don't let them go play the game. No, give them assignments inside the kitchen. One thing I love is I allow my son to grow something every single year. And at the end of the time we finish growing it, we cook it. And so we had tomatoes this past summer. He's like, I don't want to cook them. Like, I grew them. And I'm like, Braylon, we're eating them for sure. So bring them a part of the process, because even though we don't have this food everywhere, we have food that we can grow right inside our kitchens. We have herbs we can grow inside our kitchen that can help us not only with our mental health, but just help us with our bodies, with our lungs, with our hearts. So even with just everyday life, lavender, I have it in this room and help him sleep at night. Lavender, I grew myself. So I don't have to give him anything. And just get the smell of lavender, fresh lavender in the room, puts him down. The natural stuff. So we control all of this. If we want this to be a perfect place to stay, we just got to keep talking and keep pushing those buttons and get a lot of government officials up in it. And I broke outside of here. I said I was a local girl, and then it took Shaggy to tell me that I was a global girl. Ain't nothing local about you. He's like, you are global. And so I had to realize that, because in my mind, I was like, you know what? I am Flint. He said, no, you are the world. You're not just Flint. You are the world. That we need all our brown girls on the ground running, not just in Flint, but everywhere. Spread your voice everywhere you go. And so that's what I started doing, because I kept myself contained here. I am Flint, And so he was like, when he met me, I said, yeah, I'm local. He said, what did you say? I said, yeah, I'm local. He said, you are global. And you think like you global. And that's what we are. I mean, even for us to have this, we've been in the same circles and same places at the same time and never collabed. And I am here for you, just like you are here for me. And so I tell every person that I meet that when you see me, you should be able to see you inside of me, because I see me inside of you. So that's what I'm here for. The more the merrier, the more I can put you out here, the more you can put me out here, and we can help heal a community.
No, you're doing some beautiful things. And one of the things that you were mentioning was kind of, you do a lot of work for adults and children, but your baby in space seems to be the children and how they're developing. You had kind of mentioned, as far as the example that you had said, as far as the children and their health, and I see it on my end: pre-diabetes, diabetes, type 2 diabetes, like I see high cholesterol, and these are like preteens. Mm-hmm. If I could, I would probably test some younger ones, but it's like, it's a little bit shocking when you talk to a parent saying, like, maybe I should screen your kid for diabetes or high cholesterol, and they're like 10 or 9, and like, but they have the weight of an adult on their small frame, and that is
a lot of weight on your heart.
A lot of weight on your heart, a lot of weight on your joints. It's a lot of pressure for the body in general, and we don't want something to go by 10, 15 years, and that's their young adulthood, and it's something they've had for a long time. And unfortunately in America, adults are having their own obesity, extra weight problem, but our children are following that same footsteps and having it a lot earlier, and having trouble losing the weight, having trouble understanding why the things that they're eating is not positively impacting their health and their outcomes. And it's really sad and unfortunate when someone comes to me and they're at that point where I'm like, we have to do something. You're not going to make it to 25. If you do, it's going to be a very difficult adulthood. But it's multifactorial. It's not just the moment of the McDonald's they had last week. It's all the McDonald's they've had for years on years. It's the fact that our education system doesn't even have gym in some spaces and stuff. And so
that's heartbreaking.
It's so many things that I think about when I was younger. Like, I've always been a taller, slightly larger person. Like, I'm still, have my own little weight issues and stuff, but I was never at the point where like so many children around me were also having so many like weight issues. And what I see now is the fact that the children that we see, people think that's their normal weight. And then you look at children in other countries, you're like, the American children are not at normal weight. And like, they're beautiful kids, they're great, they're friendly, they're nice, they're wholesome, whatever it may be. Like, they have great personalities, they have great energy levels, but their health is just not at the level that their counterparts in different places are. And so what is even sadder is the fact that when I see someone who is normal weight for a child, they're being told that they're underweight. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, they are actually a normal weight. Mm-hmm. It's just we are so used to seeing so many larger children that they've normalized that extra weight. And it's like, we can't normalize it because it comes with all these other risk factors. We already feel like, you have to be 40, 50, 60 years old to have diabetes and high blood pressure. And it's like adults are getting in their 20s. Mm-hmm. And children are getting it
even earlier.
And like, you can have teens and preteens with high blood pressure. We're a little bit like apprehensive about putting them on blood pressure medicine, but eventually you have to have that discussion of like, we have to slow down the extra work that your heart's doing because you have high blood pressure, because you have this extra weight and this extra pressure and power that your heart has to do. And it's like, we shouldn't be having this discussion in the preteens and teens, but
Yeah,
we
10,
are.
10 years old. I've had someone at 10 years old with high blood pressure, and it just blew me. So you said she has what? She's like, yeah, girl, it's just in our family. She just got it a lot earlier than everybody else, but it's in the family. And I'm like, it is not in the family. It's what you eating her. You feeding her something that she should not be having. Because we wouldn't even be having this discussion right now. And like I said, everybody has to be on the same accord. When you comfort me, if it's somebody is in your house, everybody's gonna be on the same accord. All the way down to the pantry. We stripping stuff down because do you want to be alive or you don't want to be alive? Come on, make a choice. If you don't want to be alive, then can I leave? Or you really trying to live? Because we're gonna go and do this the right way. So everybody is on the right page, the same page. Then when I leave, you don't need me anymore after those 3 months. Like, oh, girl, I've been doing so good. I ain't slimmed down. I'm sleeping at night. Because that's one issue that every single parent come to me. My child does not sleep at night. That's what I'm struggling with, the sleep. Like they sleep 2 or 3 hours. And I'm like, when do you take the game away from them? Oh, about 11 or 12. I'm like, no, my son is down, like down. 9 o'clock is his cutoff, even in the summer, because his brain is still growing. He has to generate new brain cells. So just because it's summer don't mean you step at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, because you're still developing as an individual. I need you elite. I need you to get all your rest, your 8 to 10 hours, not you in the bed at 2 o'clock and then, you back up at 5, 3 hours. That's unacceptable as a child, but it's also unacceptable for us, because that means we need that RAM rest for us to regenerate new brain cells. And then we get to the door and be like, what was I just about to grab? I don't know what it was. You got to sit down and kind of bring it all together, and then you leave because you don't know what it was you were about to do. And then you get in your car and drive off. You're like, that's what I was just about to do. But that's my body telling me I'm not getting enough rest, and I'm definitely not getting enough berries inside my diet, because us as African American people, we are Mediterranean people, and we have got away from the way we were accustomed to actually eating the African way. And so once we got over here in America, we was feeling ourselves like, oh no, leave those berries behind, leave those, greens behind. I don't even want that fish, the nuts. Oh, leave them too. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get accustomed to over here. But one thing about it, when you go to Africa and you look at over here, you be like, they look amazing. Bone structure, skin is clear. They got it going on because they continue to eat that way. And we just got over here and got to feeling ourselves. And everybody, you don't go to other. When I was just over in Jamaica, I didn't see nobody overweight. That was crazy to me. I'm like, where the big people at? Like, I'm like, damn, seriously, where the big people at? Because all the women they had weight on, but it was no one like overweight that I seen that. I didn't see none of that. Like, people, they on their way there though, because of us, coming over there and bringing all that other stuff. They may be on their way, but they're trying to stop it before it gets started. So I'm glad that I'm in there a certain way. They brought me for a Healthy Just Feels Right day. And then when I came for that one day, they gave me the whole week. So every year in Kingston, Jamaica, Healthy Just Feels Right week will go on every single week in the second week of May. That everybody in Kingston will celebrate Healthy Just Feels Right week. Super amazing. I'm like, I thought I was gonna. We're gonna give you the whole week. So every day in Kingston, they're gonna do something different. That means our workers gonna come to work with water bottles this time. Everybody's gonna have water. The second day, we'll provide apples for everybody inside Jamaica. That they're gonna start eating apples. Instead of driving, people are gonna be walking or riding their bikes. We're gonna get active around here because they don't wanna the KFCs and the McDonald's to take over, because they're seeing it happening. We need the women to repopulate. If the women are gone, how did Jamaica go on?
That's true.
So it's just a lot of, and we're on our way. We are already there. We accustomed now, like whatever.
No, that's. I'm concerned about Jamaica, but I'm really hoping that they are different than us. And your work is definitely going to make a great impact. I know we are running short on time. And so one of the things that I want to give you the opportunity to speak on is kind of what your ideal vision of the community is, whether it's the Flint community, whether it's America in general, internationally, from all the work that you do. You see how food quality, food access, food barriers have impacted all these different communities. And so, as someone who empowers people, constantly reflecting on what's going on in people's lives, what would be your like ideal space when it comes to like how people are consuming food, how they're looking at food, like what would be that vision, that dream of yours?
My vision would be the blue zone. The blue zone is set up even within Japan. One state in Houston has adopted it within Texas, where they have older people that's outliving the young because they are riding their bikes. I want for Michigan to have a self-care day. I mean, for people to be able to just take care of just them, because you're no good to nobody at all if you're not no good to you. And so what we do is we take on all these different roles, and we don't even worry about us. But I would love for us to emulate some of these countries with this blue zone, because the blue zone is taking over now. That they are using, I think it's aquaponic, as far as growing their fishes. They know what goes into the food. A lot of people are growing their veggies now, and they're using the raised beds in a lot of the houses, backyard, so the animals can't get at the veggies, which is amazing. It's beautiful how they got it set up in Houston. But these people are not dealing with diseases. They've seen a drop in like heart disease, diabetes, obesity. People are riding bikes to work. They're not using as many chemicals on the food. Things are being grown naturally. And something like this could be pulled off here, but it'll take one zone to do it first in order for it to see how it goes. Because, you know, everything is about research here. Everything got to be researched here. You know, they got to see one person pull it off first with a research to have the aha moment, say, I knew it was going to work. I just needed to see them do it first, and then everybody jumps on. We deserve that blue zone. We deserve to live a long time, not only for just us, but for our kids and our grandkids and our great grandkids. I want to be here for a long time. And it's funny because I tell people, like, you know, they laugh and they're like, Shane, you're going to be here till like 125. And I used to giggle about it, but I really feel that I am. I feel like I'm 16 years old, that I'm still active because I know how to get up and get the going, that I take time to, I said, we have neighborhoods. People would not even walk outside and do 2 blocks and come back home because they're going to close the blinds and they'll watch their TV and they get into their space. But I want people to take care of themselves because that's the only way we're going to be able to heal this community. But also for me, I am really dead set on getting a place that's set up just on a holistic approach so people can come in and see me work as far as me doing food the natural way, you know, cooking in front of them, the whole thing, but also getting to their water because water is important. Water has to keep all this stuff cushioned on the inside, and a lot of people don't drink water. Pop, pop, more pop, and pop, pop. At night, pop. No lemons, no cucumbers, no nothing. But actually set up so that things like that, what we're doing, going live constantly and educating people about what fruit or what veggie does what for your body. Do a you are what you eat video and just take every single fruit apart and what it does for your body. Even for me to come up with this book for mental health, it's big right now. For me to have a conversation earlier with the PR for the Pistons, and he was blown away. And he was like, we need this information because mental health is a thing that we don't want to talk about. And now everybody's sharing that, yeah, I got some mental health issues, girl. Like, I need some help. But in the book, it talks about the herbs that does things for your body.
You say what book it is?
So the book that I have is the superfood for mental disorders. And so you have the whole fork and you have the food on there, but look at the brain on there. And the hand is in control of what we eat. So we don't want to control how our mental health will come out and putting you first. But then the things that you're putting inside your body, because if it's those are cytotoxin, all that different color food, the Skittles, the Takis, the Flaming Hots.
The stuff that's banned in other countries.
Banned in other countries.
But available in America.
Available in America. I had a partner invite me out to talk to kids on how to eat healthy. They had Flaming Hot French fries for the kids, and Mountain Dews. When I tell you every single child in the building was turning cartwheels, they could not sit down. They were all over the place. And I was like, I can't teach this way. And it was like, I said, what did you give them before I come? They was like, oh, we gave them flaming hot fries and Mountain Dew. You do not give that to a kid. They were wired. And so I couldn't even present because the kids would not sit down. So educating from building to building, but also doctors reaching out when they don't have the answers. Because even for Genesis to call me, I was blown. Like, Genesis, whoa. I'm like, hello, Genesis. Like, we have a patient here. We just looked you up online, and they really want to use your services far as how to eat healthy. How do we go by telling our patients about you? But Genesis, not Hurley, but Genesis have reached out. And so I felt that I was having a moment now, because out of all hospitals, for them to start telling their patients to call me when your doctor gives you a prescription for your brand new heart and it says 1,500 cc's on it for you to watch your calories, and this is what I give to you. But they don't give you the recipe. They just tell you what you need to be on.
Give you the title, not the content.
Not the content. They just write it out and tell you that's what you're supposed to follow. And they're like, well, what does that look like? And so they called me and it's like, well, they gave us this and we don't know what that looked like. And I said, I can easily put this together for you with no problem. Are you serious? Yes, I can. Because I want you to live with your brand new heart. But then also your wife got to get on board too. Because if she's not on board, the heart's not going to work right, because she's going to be eating stuff that she loves. And you're going to see that too. And we're going to have a problem. So definitely, more doctors teaming up. But also we need wellness centers here. That's open all the time. That's available for all, not some. Because we are still healing from a water crisis. We're still in it. Yeah. And then the component of the chemical damage that was done by the lead that actually slows up the process of the brain. So now the kids are acting out. Do you wonder why they're acting out? This is the effect of the lead, but the lead was only one thing, because, we dealt with General Motors with the abandonment. Now we had abandonment issues because they checked out. Then all of a sudden, you had the water crisis. Now they're poison the city. And then COVID happened. They isolated you. Oh my goodness. Post-traumatic stress all over again for a whole entire community. We are nowhere near healed. Nowhere. We pretend and wear the smiles like everything is just fine, but we need wellness centers on every inch of area code. And not just a farmer's market here and a farmer's market. That's not going to heal us. But we need a lot of wellness here. We need to be healed on more ways than one. And these babies need to be saved, because they're committing crimes now through the act of them being damaged by the lead. What do we do next?
Yeah, we have a lot of scattered resources, I'll say.
It is.
And we label everything as resilience instead of actually addressing them truly. But I have a lot of questions and a lot of stuff I could talk to you about. But I will thank you for being the first guest of the Flint Doc Talks. And I want to talk to you about coming back, because I feel like we have some additional things and some additional questions I didn't even get to.
And then I want to bring the food, and we can just set the table up and we can take the food apart so we can talk about those things.
That would be amazing.
Yes.
That would be amazing. But yeah, thank you for coming to the Flint Doc Talks and being our first guest. I really appreciate it. Our next one will be in December, because it's supposed to be a monthly series.
Okay.
And I'm bringing teacher and advocate, Mrs. Jessica Matthews.
Okay.
She's a previous teacher of mine. Well, no, actually, she's a previous coach of mine at my old high school, but she does so much education advocacy that it's going to be a beautiful conversation too, because that's another piece. How you're talking about, how children are learning and some of their mental health concerns and how their behavior kind of impacts things. That is showing in their household, but it's also showing in their education. And as that kind of progresses, that's how they become adults and how they kind of thrive or don't thrive in our community.
Exactly.
So I'm looking forward to that conversation, but I really appreciate you being here at the Flint Doc Talks. Thank you
so much.
Appreciate it.